Continuing on with my favorite movies of all time, we've reached number 17, and I gotta say, when it comes to superheroes and movies, one superhero who's gotten more than one good movie on his resume is Batman. And this is not the last time we're going to see Batman on this list here, as we're going to move further up here, but I think we all know which one is the top Batman movie. But number 17 on my favorite films of all time is my second favorite Batman movie of all time, and it wasn't even a live-action film. It was the feature film adaptation of the Batman animated series, and that is, of course, Batman Mask of the Phantasm. We all know that Batman the Animated Series is one of the greatest TV shows of all time, so it's safe to say that a feature-length movie based off the series has to be at least good. Mask of the Phantasm not only manages to be good, but it's pretty damn epic for an animated feature. An animated feature that, quite frankly, was originally intended to go straight to video before it eventually made its way to a theatrical release. Kind of like the opposite of what happened with the Tiny Toons movie that eventually went to video, but was supposed to be a big screen theatrical release. But, this one, Mask of the Phantasm, the main plot of the movie, if you haven't seen it already, which, really, you probably should have seen it by now if you know Batman, but, the plot of the movie revolves around a new enemy named the Phantasm, who's voiced by Stacy Keach, who's killing off mob members, and Batman taking the blame and becoming public enemy number one. The film flashes back to a time when Bruce Wayne, played by the late great Kevin Conroy, almost gave up vigilantism to be with Andrea Beaumont, voiced by Dana Delaney, just a few years before she would become synonymous with the DC animated universe by playing Lois Lane in the Superman series. The Joker also plays a part of the film's story as well. And like I said before, given the fact that this was originally intended for a direct-to-video release but was quickly transferred over to a theatrical release, it only took 8 months to make this movie. It's amazing that they were able to pull this together and keep what makes the series so memorable and bring it to this movie. I mean, only 8 months to do it, but as crazy as that is, Toy Story 2 had one of those interesting production histories too, where they had to basically make this movie within a span of less than a year, and look at how well that movie turned out. That one I think is much more interesting and more of an engaging story because of everything that went on behind the scenes, but this is right up there. This is a close second in terms of an animated film that had so much going against it, and yet in the end, it all came together when it needed to. The voice acting in here is great. It's still the great voice actors from the series brought back together. Kevin Conroy, like I said, still badass as Batman. Mark Hamill, still badass as the Joker. Mark Harmon as the Joker would be very interesting, I would say, but it's Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill, still badass as the Joker. Even the newer additions, like Dana Delaney as Andrea, she really brings it all into this character. And Stacy Keach, who does not only Andrea's father, but also the Phantasm, is great. The voice that Keach gives Phantasm makes him much more menacing and just completes the image of that villain. And I like the idea that Stacy Keach plays Andrea's father and also the Phantasm, because it makes you think you gotta figure out what the twist is gonna be when it is at first. But then as the movie moves along and you start to see some of the other characters get involved in here, you can kind of figure out what it's gonna be right away. I mean, it took a while for me to realize it the first time I saw this movie back in the day, but again, the animation is always spectacular. It's the same great animation that the animated series brought us. It's beautiful to look at. There's never a flawed or dull moment in the animation. Even when they have to throw in CG, it's pretty good. It's in there pretty much in the opening credits, which are very well done. And then the rest of the movie is the typical hand-drawn animation you see in the original series. But the story works really well. The twists and turns the movie takes doesn't feel predictable or forced, and you can understand why these twists and turns had to happen once you hear the reasoning behind it. And just great acting all around here. Bruce's backstory, as he's trying to basically avenge his parents' death, but also he's got this situation where he has a chance to get away from being the vigilante and go on and live a happy life. Like, there's that great moment when he's at his graveside in the rain, the parents' graveside in the rain, and he's just pleading with them to just give him an answer. Can he be happy? Like he didn't count on this whatsoever. And the acting that Kevin Conroy brings to this is just so well done, and especially hits harder now that he's no longer with us. I mean, the acting in this movie, like I said, is top notch. This is amazing, amazing stuff to see. The action sequences overall are pretty amazing too, but again, that's the benefit of animation. A lot of this you couldn't really do with a live-action film, and this movie surely lets us know that right away. And like I said before, the music in here is very well done. The score for this is done by the late Shirley Walker. dark, amazingly well done. It just works on so many levels, like what Richard Stone brought to the both, Tiny Toons and Animaniacs. And Shirley Walker just creates that perfect theme for not just Batman but also Superman. It's just a shame that they're no longer with us, because they've left such a lasting impact on people who grew up with all of these Warner Brothers shows in the '90s, and very much so to this very day. I mean, this is not just a perfect animated movie. It's not just a perfect animated movie adaptation. It's just an overall perfect movie, man. I mean, Christopher Nolan he'd never gotten his hand on Batman. This will probably be the greatest Batman movie we'd ever see. I mean, there's been a lot of good Batman movies overall, whether it's the Tim Burton one or even the most recent ones, the Matt Reeves one with Robert Pattinson. But this is right up there with one of my all-time favorite movies. It's easily the best animated movie adaptation of Batman they've ever done. It's just such a great movie, and I'm glad to see that it is getting the wider attention that it definitely deserves after all these years, after almost 30 years since the movie's been released. And I'm glad to see that it's getting the respectable audience now that it needed back in the day, because it did not do well when it came out, but it's getting the love and respect after all these years, and quite frankly, I'm very happy to see that, because this movie is definitely worth it in the long run. Batman: Mask of the Phantasm, my 17th favorite film of all time, so there you go. That's my 17th favorite film of all time. When we meet next time, we'll take a look at my 16th favorite film. If you want to see the last one I did where I talked about The Secret of NIMH, I'll put it in the corner there, as well as the playlist of some of the other videos I've done. And I'll see you guys next time for the next video. So until then, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.